Wow, you are in for a treat. Welcome to the first day of Predictions Week. These predictions, mind you, are in stone.
Yep.
And you will be staked to them for the rest of the year. So if you predict, say, out of the blue, a Raiders-Cardinals Super Bowl, just because the team that hosted the Super Bowl had gone to the Super Bowl in consecutive years, you will be mocked mercilessly for months. We will predict every conference, every award, and every playoff game. And we start today with the AFC East. Nick, take it away.
4-1 from the AFC East, one of the most intriguing divisions in sports. We have mocked Kevin Wildes all offseason, saying the Patriots are more likely to finish last than finish first. And while I do not have them finishing first, I do not have them finishing last.
Let's go.
Coming in last in the AFC East, the New York Jets, the most overrated 7-win team I've ever seen in NFL history. 5 of those 7 wins came against backup or third-string quarterbacks. But wait, Nick, you're underrating the fact that they have the 12th best receiver in football. No, I think I'm rating it exactly right, along with a soon-to-be 40-year-old quarterback. But he was awesome this offseason. He was nice to his teammates, I guess. Number 3 in the division, the New England Patriots. Listen, they won 8 games last year with, as Wild says, a defensive coordinator cosplaying as an offensive coordinator. That should be better, but they still have a very hard ceiling thanks to McCorkle Jones. I do trust Belichick in the defense, but not quite good enough to be in the playoff team. Back in the playoffs, but not a divisional champion, the Buffalo Bills. I'm not sure if the Super Bowl banner makes sense, but a wild card banner might. I do think they'll be a playoff team. I don't think the Diggs-Allen drama is nonsense. I think it is a reason to be very concerned. Very concerned, as Sean McDermott told us. Also, does anyone know when Von Miller's coming back? And that leaves us to number 1, the Miami Dolphins, a team that when their quarterback was healthy last year looked like a top 3 offense. I love the addition of Vic Fangio on the defensive side of the ball. And at some point this year, they will be getting Jalen Ramsey. That should be a nice shot in the arm come December. I like the Dolphins roster. I love the coach. I can trust the quarterback just enough as long as he's healthy. Their coach is my AFC East 1 through 4.
Well, first of all, nothing excites me more than preseason predictions.
Yes. We waited for you to be here for this.
I am so excited about this week. But look, nice start here, Nick, kind of. I agree with your second and third place finishers. I think the Bills will probably finish second, and the Pats will probably finish right where you have them there. But I see the Dolphins and the Jets switch, and I do not want to be accused of being like a overwhelming Jets supporter. But there's too many good things happening there. I think at the end of the day, Aaron Rodgers is going to be closer to the MVP form than he was what he was last year. He started early. He's with a coordinator he knows. He's got guys he knows. They've got the 4th best defense. They've got 3 really good running backs. They just spent $7 million on Dalvin Cook, and they already had Breece Hall and Michael Carter. So there's all those things. And you say they won 7 games, okay, and they had a terrible quarterback situation. You're counting that as a bad thing. To me, I think that's a good thing that they were as competitive as they were with that situation. And I think the downside for Miami, and I love the addition of Vic Fangio, that's going to change things for him defensively, but I don't think Tua is going to be able to hold up throughout the course of the season, and that's going to derail
Tom
what
Brady
Miami
slides
has.
right in.
Woo!
Oh, my goodness gracious.
Coach was dropping knowledge, Coach.
that
All right,
means that you have
let's get
similar.
now. Your Knicks were. I like to think of mine not as predictions, but as projections. Okay, predictions is kind of, as you saw with Nick, willy-nilly, a lot of football gods and pixie dust and all that. Projections are fact. Projections more based in reality and fact.
Everybody loves a good projection.
A projection more based in reality, as you're about to see, Wild. You're not going to like it. That's why you took Nick's side on that. Number 4. The New England Patriots.
Oh, gosh.
The quarterback is the worst in the division by a mile.
That's true.
A mile.
I disagree.
How much protection we'll get to that later, but they don't look like they're going to protect him well, at least not early on until they get healthy. And I don't see enough talent at the skill positions. This wasn't enough talent for Tom Brady to carry. All right, how in the world is Mac Jones going to carry this type of skill mediocrity? And I just don't see it happening, Wild. So you're last in the division, sorry to say. Number 3, I'm kind of with Coach Miami Dolphins. This one hurt me because I do, obviously, you see the talent there. Obviously, at all the skill positions, Jalen Ramsey obviously won't be there. They added him. Fangio will help. But I'm with Coach Tua. I hope I'm wrong in him staying healthy. But it's hard to trust him being healthy. And as all three of the teams ahead of the Patriots, I considered for the playoffs strongly, but I got to leave one out. I'm leaving out Miami. Number 2, the New York Jets. All right, look.
Come on.
I got it. This might not sound as, analytical as it really is.
Oh, yeah.
But I like what I've been seeing on Hard Knocks.
Oh, you gotta be kidding me.
The vibes are great.
You make fun of him, pixie dust, and sports gods. And he's doing
The
vibes.
vibes are great. The vibes are phenomenal.
Doing a vibe check. Wow.
But as Coach said, there's a lot of other things. They got great. You downplay Jared Wilson. That dude is bad, man. He's going to have a great year. The running game, Garrett Wilson, the running game is fantastic. The defense is going to be one of the best in the league. Yeah. And Aaron Rodgers is all in. I'm with Coach. He'll be closer to MVP Rodgers than
I'm
last
just glad
year.
you're back on the Bills. Yeah. Bruce Bills.
The Bills.
Like you never
yeah.
left.
I don't see 13 wins again, but they're going to be right there. Vibes aren't good.
Okay, that's what
Vibes aren't good, but they got talent. Josh Allen is a great quarterback. Stephon Diggs is a great receiver.
Bad job.
What? Okay, why?
The number 2 pick can't be, I love their vibes, and then the number 1 pick, they got bad vibes. You can't use vibes as an indicator.
Talent sometimes can outweigh vibes.
I was with you on the projection versus prediction. I like that, but when you went to the Hard Knocks as your rationale for the set, Aaron Rodgers hasn't thrown an incompletion on Hard Knocks. It's amazing. He is not. So I got to take a few points off of that.
Nick, we're moving on to the NFC East.
All right, so great job there, Wilds. I appreciate you doing a total 180 on your care about preseason stats from last year to this year. I respect it. Coming in last in the NFC East, listen, I wish Eric Bieniemy the best, and I wish this weren't the case. But Sam Howell is your Week 1 starter. You already have odd, as far as Brew would call it, vibes between the receivers and the head coach and the offensive coordinator about whether or not, they actually like Bieniemy's coaching style. And I thought their decision to not pick up Chase Young's 5th-year option was inexplicable despite the injuries. We know what a talent he is, and the potential let the number 2 pick of the draft hit free agency when you could add an option made no sense to me. They're number 4. Number 3 is the New York Giants. Now, they were number 3 last year, but that was good enough to make the postseason. It will not be this year. The New York Giants have an excellent coach, a pretty darn good defense. I like their running back, but the problem is when it comes to all things throwing the football, I do not believe in them.
Fair.
And so I understand that Greg Jennings tells us Dan Jones is one of the 8 best quarterbacks in the world. I don't know that he's one of the 8 best quarterbacks in his conference. He definitely is in the division, but there's only 4 teams there. So I have the Giants number 3. Number 2. The Philadelphia Eagles. I have them back in the playoffs, but not the dominant team they were last year. You worry about them up the middle of the defense after the defensive line. They don't prioritize safety. They don't prioritize that inside linebacker. I understand those aren't glamour positions, but that team can got there. And if they do not have 70 sacks again, you worry about their pass defense. I worry about the maturity of their head coach, and I worry about how well they have done over the last 2 years against any team that has a pulse from a passing perspective. They are a great defense, but that has feasted on some very bad passing attacks. When they have faced real quarterbacks, the defense hasn't looked quite as good. And as good as Jalen was, I don't know that I expect him to be an MVP candidate again. So that's how you go from 14 wins down to probably 10 wins. And then winning the division, and the team that I think will have the best record in the NFC, the Dallas Cowboys. They have, I believe, the best defense in football. They have not the best receiving core in the league, but 3 legitimate receivers behind a good, not great number 1 in CeeDee Lamb. I like Gallup. Brandon Cooks is the most traded player in league history, but wherever he goes, he seems to be productive. True. And the best running back on their team last year is now their feature running back. You add all of that to the fact it will be a solid offensive line once again for them. I like the Cowboys a lot. I think last year they won 12 games despite their starting quarterback missing 5 weeks and losing 2 in overtime. I like the Dallas Cowboys coach to win the division.
Love it.
Yeah, I don't know what to do right now. I don't know whether to tell America to go out and bet all their money on this lineup or to run as far away from it as you can, because I agree with it.
1 through 4?
Wow.
Yes!
I agree.
Oh, look at that!
Which must mean this is absolutely flawed.
Oh, no, it's going to happen, Coach.
Maybe run from this or bet against it. Put, I don't know where to go with the fact that we
Coach
agree on
is
that.
so much smarter.
The issue I have with the Giants is whoever made the schedule must be really angry at the organization. So they've got 7 out of 10 games to start the season are on the road. They've got 3 games in the first 11 days. It's just a brutal start to the season. They paid guys a lot of money, but they didn't get different guys. They just had to pay the same guys that much more money. Added Waller, that's nice, but it's going to be hard. It's going to be a hard road for them. The Eagles, look, 8 number ones on defense, which they can make a lot of noise, but they've had turnover at the safety, turnover at the linebacker spot. They've got new coordinators. They've got to deal with success. They've got a quarterback that made a lot of money. They'll justify it. I think all those things are going to be hard, and it's tough for me to put Dallas in the 1 spot, but I do agree. I like Dan Quinn a lot. I like what they're doing defensively a lot, and I think Brian Schottenheimer as their offensive coordinator is going to do good things as well.
Drew, just make it a clean sweep. It's the same thing.
Coach,
same
you had such a strong start to this segment, but I hate to kill it now.
All right, maybe my vibes are off. I need a vibe check. Is that available?
Yeah.
Number 4. The New York Giants.
Wow.
And Coach, look, he talked about how tough the schedule is going to be.
Brutal.
All right, and I look, I don't think I'm not as down on Daniel Jones as Nick is. Obviously, I'm not as high on him as Greg Jennings, but I just don't think he has great. Even though they added a Paris Campbell, I mean, Paris Campbell's okay, but that's your big addition at the receiver. Like, I don't think they have great players at the skill position. I like Saquon. I'm not sure he's going to have another 1,400 yard season. So I got the Giants in 4th. Washington, I like them a little bit.
Thank you.
Not a Super Bowl team like you've been saying, but the defense is legit.
That defense
is
Super Bowl.
No, not yet.
No.
He's leaning hard there. Sam Howell, I think Eric Bieniemy already, I know it's preseason, but I've just seen, I like the way they're running their offense and stuff. Obviously, you got a Terry McLaurin. You got some decent skill position players. So I got them in 3rd. And then I got Dallas. I wouldn't be shocked. I mean, Dallas and Philly are really close. I wouldn't be shocked if they won, but I got them 2nd right now. I think the question for the Cowboys, they're obviously going to make the playoffs. They're one of the top 3 teams in the conference. But are they going to expect Dak to carry them, put him on his shoulders and carry him, or is he going to be a glorified game manager? I think that's when he's best, as a glorified game manager who can make big plays here and there. So, and then I got Philly, of course, winning the division. I don't think Jalen Hurts will allow them to have a Super Bowl hangover. I just think he's such a great leader. Jason Kelce.
Tom Brady had a Super Bowl hangover.
But he was, well, I was going to say he was early in his career as is Jalen.
He may not allow the offense to, but it seems like the defense is still caught up on the Super Bowl.
I like Jalen
They can't
Carter.
get over the cleats.
They can't get over it. And the refs, the cleats.
They have been talking a lot about the refs. But I like Jalen Carter, the rookie. I think he's going to have a great year and a great impact. And Jason Kelce is only back for one reason, to win the Super Bowl.
The reason I like Dallas to overtake Philly is I think they'll commit to running the ball. Brian Schottenheimer was my offensive coordinator at the Jets.
They should.
He loved running the ball. He's not afraid to stay with that. And to me, that's the formula for Dak to be really successful.
We start today with the AFC North. Nick, take it away.
All right, worst to first, number 4 in the AFC. It's a team with the worst coach and the worst quarterback. It's very simple. It is the Cleveland Browns. I do not think, the worst quarterback in the division. Deshaun Watson from Houston 3 years ago is not walking back through that door. And the Browns, I do not believe in. And the Browns are going to have some real soul searching to do when this year they still don't get the reward of having a bad team, because that pick is still going to the Houston Texans. Number 3. Missing the playoffs, the Baltimore Ravens.
Wow.
I'm happy Lamar got his money. I don't know that the offensive stylistic change is going to be what works best for the Ravens. Also, for the first time in seemingly a decade, the Ravens' defense is a major question mark. I have the Ravens as one of those, my gosh, the AFC's tough. The Ravens missed the playoffs. Coming in second, the Cincinnati Bengals. I do think they are obviously a playoff team. However, I do not think they have a gaudy regular season. I do think some of their losses in free agency on defense hurt them, and I don't think this really will matter unless it does. I guess I'm the only person still curious. Where's Joe Burrow contract extension? Been waiting for a Joe Burrow contract extension. Hasn't happened. They did release Trevor Siemian today, which makes you think Joe Burrow should be available in week 1, which is good news for them. And then winning the division, the Pittsburgh Steelers. The argument for the Steelers is very simple. Last year, they had a rookie quarterback, and they had their best player miss 7 games, and they won 9 of them. This year, if you assume TJ Watt's not going to miss 7 games, Kenny Pickett, even if he's not going to be as perfect as he was in the preseason, I do think he'll be better than he was in year 2. Most quarterbacks get a year 2 bump, except for, of course, McCorkle Jones. But most guys get better. You got to like George Pickens. You have to love Mike Tomlin. I think the Steelers win the division and get back to the postseason. There's my AFC North.
Ooh, wow. Okay. Let's start worst to first. We agree. I hate to say
that's your team.
Because I am from Cleveland, and I do expect improvement. I'm higher on Deshaun Watson than you are. I think he'll play well. The offensive line obviously is great. They got skilled position players. Like I like Stefanski more than you do, Nick. But it is a great conference, and I think this is the best division in football. And there's going to be, I said yesterday, I don't think Miami makes the playoffs. So there are going to be a couple of good teams that miss the playoffs, more than a couple. And I think the Browns will be one of them. At number 3, though, the Steelers. And in the playoffs. Yes, I am going with a 3-play. I didn't think I would, but I like the Steelers. All right, I really do. You mentioned it. Last year, they were without,
TJ Watt. 7 games.
And look, this is how good Mike Tomlin's great. There's no doubt about it. For him to win 9 games last year with TJ Watt out, and their quarterback play was, we talked about the Jets, how bad it was. Theirs was bad too, and I don't mean that Pickett's not going to be good, but last year they had 12 total touchdown passes on the team.
Yeah.
And one of them was thrown by a receiver, Chase Claypool. And they had 14 interceptions and still won 9 games. I think Pickett's going to be greater. I think George Pickens is fantastic. So I think he's going to have a huge year. Fire moves, I like him too. Run game is good. So I think the Steelers make the playoffs. Number 2, the Bengals. Look, I strongly considered not putting them in the playoffs.
Wow.
But Burrow looks like he'll be back sooner than later. And I think he's just too good along with Jamar Chase. Offensive line, I think, will be a little better. They added your boy Nick Orlando Brown Jr. I think they start 0-2, though. They haven't won in Cleveland since 2017. And then they have Baltimore, but then they can run off at least 4 straight wins. So they'll be back in the saddle. And at number 1, the Baltimore Ravens. I love the Ravens this year. I think Lamar Jackson's going to be, he's excited. He's got his contract. He's excited about the new offense. It's supposed to be like what he did in Louisville more. So obviously we know he was great in college at Louisville. The receiving core is the best he's had. It's not one of the best in the league or one of the top 5, but it's the best he's had. And the defense, look, I know it looks like they might be down a bit, but they've been in the top 10 in defense 6 of the last 7 years. Yep. So I think they'll figure it out. I got Baltimore.
All right, we're going to get to the Ravens in a second. Here are all the predictions. Coach, I want to dial in on the Steelers. Both of you guys mentioned TJ Watt. Here's the numbers, specifically 8-2 with, 1-6 without. Point differentials up, turnover differential up.
The Bears, trendy pick. Could they make the playoffs? Could they have the league MVP? No, they actually couldn't. Neither one of those has any chance of happening. I do think they are potentially moving in the right direction, but it's a lot of movement to go from a 10-game losing streak and the number 1 pick of the draft to the postseason. And I know they didn't draft number 1, but they had the number 1 pick of the draft. They traded it away, so they're coming in 4th. In 3rd, regression is coming for the Minnesota Vikings. Now, undefeated in 1-score games, the biggest comeback in the regular season in NFL history, a terrible defense that got exposed by Daniel Jones in the postseason. True. I love Justin Jefferson. This is Kirk Cousins' last year with the Vikings, and this is the Vikings' first year, well, not first year, but the Vikings back out of the playoffs. In the playoffs, though, for the first time in quite some time, the Detroit Lions, they are in the postseason. The reason I am not quite as high on the Lions as some is I don't think things will be quite as perfect as they were for Goff last year. Goff, when he has a clean pocket, when he's not pressured, is excellent. The moment he's pressured, he turns into a pumpkin. I think he'll be pressured a bit more this year, but I still think they'll be able to get one more win they did last year and get into the postseason. And then, speaking of vibes, Coach, best vibes in the league.
Best vibes.
Green Bay Packers.
True.
Good young talent at wide receiver. Good running game. An underrated defense. A chip on their shoulder. A coach that has, as far as through 3 years of his coaching career, one of the best winning percentages in NFL history. And a quarterback who has got to sit and learn for years. Will he be great? No. Will he be as good as Aaron was last year? That's not that hard. I like the Green Bay Packers as kind of the scorned X winning the division.
Wow. Okay. Well, mine is kind of similar, to be honest. At number 4, I'm with you on the Bears. Justin Fields has been the most sacked quarterback since he got into the league. 3.5 sacks a game. He's enduring. So I think he'll be better. And I think, like you said, they might be moving in the right direction, but they're far away from the playoffs in my view. At number 3, Minnesota. I'm with you there. Because last year you said they were undefeated in the one-score games, 11-0 in one-score games. They tied an NFL record by winning 8 games that they trailed in the fourth quarter. Some people might look at that as, they got moxie. Yeah. They got poise. I look at it as they were very fortunate, and I don't think they'll be as lucky
You're halfway
this
to
year.
A perfect practice.
Right, and the defense, we know what that was last year. Here's where we part ways. I do have the Packers making the playoffs.
Good.
All right, I'm with you on the defense being a bit underrated. Obviously, they're going to have a great running game. They still got Jones and Dillon. And the receivers, I like Dobbs and Watson.
Me too.
And they have a good relationship, I think, with Jordan Love. And, Coach, I think one of the things we do today, I get it because of the contractual situation, but we throw too many young quarterbacks right into the mix right away when they're not ready. And I think Jordan Love has benefited from sitting at Aaron Rodgers' feet. He looks more confident, more poised. He's obviously athletic. So I actually expect him to play well. I think the formula is good defense, strong run game, and a game manager with some athleticism who can make some plays. And at number 1, obviously, I'm with Detroit because you mentioned the offense, how great the offense was last year. They didn't, Jared Goff rarely got sacks. They don't turn the ball over, and they take the ball away. Look, but here's the thing that impressed me. They started 1-6 and finished 8-2, but look at the defense. Now, their defense last year was viewed as terrible.
They were
terrible.
Over
the last 10 games, they gave up 20 points a game. You can live with that if you have one of the top offenses in the league. So I think the defense, Aiden Hutchinson is great. I think they'll get better. I'm not saying they'll be a top 5, one of the 12 top 5 defenses, but they'll be better, and the offense is strong.
They might be. Speaking of can't miss, we're in the midst of prediction weeks. We got another round, bro. Welcome to day 3 of prediction week. These predictions are set in stone, and we will be staked to them for the rest of the year. One caveat for you at home. Any past proclamations heard here about being a member of the Iowa State Mafia should be taken into account when you hear these predictions.
Any home teams I can claim at some point.
Well,
that gives me a lot of wiggle room.
I'm not talking about you.
A lot of wiggle room.
Particularly, I'm just saying. I'm just throwing it out there. We'll predict every division, every award, and every playoff game, and we start now with the basement of the NFC West.
All right, it is odd that last place is actually, in some ways, the second best in the world. But in this case, it is. In last place will be the Arizona Cardinals. They will be in last place in the NFC West. They will be in last place in the NFC. They will be last place in the NFL. That means they will get the best prize of any team all year other than the Lombardi Trophy, which is Caleb Williams. Congrats to them on their next 15 years of pending success. Number 3, the Los Angeles Rams. The best thing they could do, honestly, this year is to throw their 2 games against the Cardinals to prevent Caleb Williams from coming to that division. They're not going to do that. They have Aaron Donald. They have Matt Stafford. I'm not sure how long they're going to have Aaron Donald or Cooper Kupp. They probably should be turning the ship in the tanking direction themselves, but they don't want to do that. They have about $70 million in dead money. The bleep them picks philosophy got them a Super Bowl. Now it's going to get them a few years of trying to have to dig themselves out of that hole. Number 2, but making the playoffs is the San Francisco 49ers. The Purdy regression is inevitable, and it is shocking to me how many people are just all in on this player because of a half dozen good games with Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, and George Kittle. I don't think that is going to be sustainable. I also, despite the pending scoffs at the table, do not think the football gods are going to smile fondly upon the process of the San Francisco 49ers of abandoning Trey Lance at 23 years old and bringing in Sam Darnold and giving him more hype than you ever gave to a player you were deeply invested in that you never gave a real chance to. Team the football gods, however, will love, and who also the data analysts love, the Seattle Seahawks. They started 2 rookie tackles last year, not only survived it, but thrived. Geno Smith, who a lot of people feel like had not gotten a fair shake yet in this league, finally did as a veteran quarterback and delivered, leading the NFC in touchdown passes. The defense will be even better because they played so many young players, so many rookies last year. They might have the best corner in the entire NFC in Reek Woolen. I think they have the most under-discussed great receiving core in the league. They will always have a good running game, and they have an excellent head coach. Seattle Seahawks get back to the playoffs and win the division.
Well, you got the last choice right,
okay.
the Arizona Cardinals. But I think this is interesting. Are they going to keep Kyler out the whole year? I mean, because if he starts playing, he's going to try to win games, and they might win a few.
Call of Duty games.
And so, that leads to the second question.
Yeah.
How tradable will Kyler Murray be?
You'll get a first.
With that contract, with questions about his study habits, questions about how he fits in with his teammates, his leadership, like I get that they're tanking, but I just think it's not going to be as neat as you think. Carson Wentz went for a first-round pick
twice. Darnold went for a second to fourth and a sixth.
It's not going to be as neat as you think, right? And people learn from that stuff. But just like they learned with a lot of the running backs. I mean, Gurley, Ezekiel Elliott, so on and so forth. All right, at number 3, the Rams. We agree on that. Aaron Donald, will he get traded? That's going to be the big question. I'm sure he's not motivated. Remember, he almost retired, or that might have been just to get money, but he can't be motivated to play for the Rams right now. So we'll see if he gets traded. At number 2, this is where you go off to. The Seahawks. And you notice I don't have them even in the playoffs.
Oh, that's
because
ridiculous. You
talked about Brock Purdy turning back into a pumpkin. No, it's going to be Geno Smith. He already did it in the last 5. They went 3-5 in their last 8 games. Look at him over the last 5 games. Great early on, but then you get a little tape. You start taking him seriously.
Tape.
You start taking him seriously. Yeah, there wasn't much tape his first, 10 years, 9 years. He was scout team and all that. Let me see that again, Dusty. Nick, you need to look at this. Everything, the TD interception, terrible. The passer rating,
it's not terrible.
It ain't great. It's not what he did last year.
Well, it is last year.
No, but I'm saying the beginning of the season, it is.
You know what Geno's not going to do to Brew?
Like Trevor Lawrence numbers.
That's what he's not. Geno's not going to write back.
I don't know if that's in the lexicon.
Number one, I can't believe you don't have the Niners number 1. Now, I'm assuming they get things straightened out with Nick Bosa. They will. But Brock Purdy, I don't see a regression. I'm not saying he's going to be a superstar, but all the weapons he has, all they have to do is stay healthy. Big deal for them. But if they're healthy, come on, man, that defense.
Number 4, the Carolina Panthers. Another team like Houston that traded away their number 1 pick. At least Carolina did it to move all the way up to number 1 to get Bryce Young, but he is going to get killed behind a non-existent offensive line, and when he doesn't get killed, he's going to be throwing the non-existent weapons. That might be the worst offense in the league next year. It's going to be a tough opening for Bryce Young. Number 3, Baker can only do so much. They've got $90 million in dead money. That means 45% of their roster doesn't exist. It's going, or their salary cap space. Again, there's a cost to buying Super Bowls and buying. I mean, does the Super Bowl even count if it's a home Super Bowl too? Like, I don't even get it.
It was good for
it's a little tainted, a little gross. But Baker can only do so much. I think Baker will be okay. I think he'll throw to some good weapons, but that team is going to struggle to a degree. Then, the most overrated team in the league, the New Orleans Saints. The Saints continue to pretend they are in contention, and they continue to kick the salary cap can down the road. So eventually, those chickens will come home to roost. In the meantime, time, what they're going to be able to satiate themselves with is another 8 wins. Like, okay, that's fine. But at some point, you're going to have to admit you are not in the championship window. And then the division champion, the Atlanta Falcons, led by Offensive Rookie of the Year and Offensive Player of the Year and the pending rushing champion, Bijan Robinson. The Atlanta Falcons will lead the league in rushing. They have Drake London, they have Kyle Pitts, and they have the softest division in the entire NFL. I think they can go 10-7 and win the NFC South, and Bijan Robinson can have a Marshall Faulk-esque 2,000 yards from scrimmage.
Wow.
I believe all of that, so there it is.
At number 4, Knicks Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
They're not mine. I have them third.
Baker, you claimed Baker years ago. He's your guy.
Yeah.
All right, and Baker will not be starting midway through the season. It'll be Kyle Trask, all right? Okay. And Todd Bowles, it's going to be a tough year for him. So at number 3, Carolina. All right, you're right. I like Bryce Young, and I like Frank Reich. So I think that's a great duo, but they just don't have much else. His weapons aren't that bad, Chark and Adam Thielen, but the line is tough. And Thielen, I like Thielen. All right, at number 2, the Falcons in the playoffs. I agree with you.
You have 2 NFC South playoff teams and the Seahawks missing?
Yep.
Wow.
Because the Atlanta is their run game is great, and it's just going to get great. It was great last year. Yeah. Top 3 team in the league rushing, and now you add Bijan. He is going to have a great year. I don't know about Rookie of the Year, but he will have a great year. And then at number 1, obviously, the Saints.
I like that.
Like I said, Derek Carr, he's an upgrade. Derek Carr has never had even a top 19 defense.
Not even top
Now
19.
He's got a top 10 defense. First time in his career.
Can I ask
He's got some weapons. Chris Olave. I don't know if Michael Thomas will stay healthy. But if he does,
Can I just ask a question?
Yeah.
Nick, take it away.
Basement dweller last year, basement dweller this year, the Denver Broncos. It's a disastrous season on deck for Denver. Unfortunately, they've already lost key players, particularly receivers, due to injury. I think the loss of defensive coordinator, coach, I'm telling you, coaching matters. E.J. Evero is going to hurt them. And I do not think Sean Payton is going to be able to fix it all in one offseason because he cannot fix Russell Wilson one offseason because Russell Wilson is not fixable. The Denver Broncos in last place once again. Third place, Las Vegas Raiders. They lost 5 games last year. They led by 7 or more points. They lost 3 games. They led by 17 or more points. I think some of that will be better, and I do think that there is not a massive drop-off from Derek Carr to Jimmy Garoppolo, assuming Jimmy stays healthy, which is tough, but it is a bit of a drop-off. That's why they don't take more of a leap, and I don't trust the head coach that much. Sorry on that one, coach. The Raiders are in 3rd place. 2nd place, same as last year. In fact, this whole division, same as last year. The Los Angeles Chargers. A lot of talent. They are bitten by the injury bug every single year, seemingly at an unfair rate. But the biggest thing working against the Chargers is something they did to themselves and they have no way to fix. They have 0 home games. And when I think that is a margin that is almost impossible to make up. When half your games are true road games, about 4 of them are neutral site, and then 4 of them are the most demoralizing type possible, which is the home road game when you're in a silent count. So for those reasons, I think they have a ceiling that some of the other teams in the AFC don't have. And then, of course, the 90s Bulls, as I said 2 weeks ago, the Kansas City Chiefs. There are only 2 really interesting questions with the Chiefs this year. The first one is, this team that has won 8 consecutive games, will they be 13-0 when they head to New England?
Let's go.
Trying to beat the New England record of 21 straight victories. It would be a 22nd straight victory on national television in New England. Then if they do that,
we'll be there.
The only we'll be there, no problem. You'll be rooting for the Patriots and I'll be rooting for the Chiefs. The only other question, Brew, is of course, can they be the first team ever to go 20-0?
Wow.
I think they maybe can, but we'll discuss that more later. Go ahead. Don't sigh, Coach. Coach, don't sigh. Let Brew
chomping at the bit. All right, we're similar, but I got number 4 as the Raiders. Okay, and look, they do have talent. They had talent last year, though. All right, they not only did they had made the playoffs, they had Devontae Adams and Chandler Jones.
Okay.
And do we have that picture? But anyway, and they lose. What, they win 6-7 games last year? So they got worse. I look, Jimmy G.
Dusty the graphic. How are they last?
We have the graphic.
How are they
I'm
last?
about to tell you.
Okay, Sorry.
I don't trust Josh McDaniels as a head coach. Nice coordinator, but the record speaks for itself. Like I said, last year they added talent and got worse. I think they're going to struggle with him, and this will probably be his last year there. Yikes. And then Jimmy G, he has trouble staying healthy. That's all I say. All right, at number 3, Denver. This is a Sean Payton pick. This is trusting Sean Payton. I do think he'll get better stuff out of Russ.
These are your teams.
I keep it objective. I'm the most objective guy up here. So that's all I'm doing. I'd love for Russ to have a resurrection. I do think he'll play better because not only is he playing for a starting job this year and in the future, but he's playing for his legacy. We've talked about it. Maybe that certain Hall of Famer that we all thought, maybe it's not so certain anymore. So I think he'll play well, but you said it, the receivers are already banged up. Yep. Defense will be strong, run game will be strong. I think they can win 7 games. All right, at number 2, but not in the playoffs.
Wow.
The Chargers. And you talked a lot about it, Nick. They don't have a home field. And we know how tough the AFC is. Their division, I think those games with the Raiders and Broncos will still be tough games. And no home field advantage. The defense has not been good under Staley, even though that's supposed to be his bread and butter. I think they'll be better, obviously. You hope Joey Bosa's healthier. But I think the defense is going to be their Achilles heel. And then injuries.
Of course.
Great receiving core, but will they stay healthy? And obviously the Chiefs at number 1. But I got to say this.
What?
Bad vibes.
You think?
Hold on. Travis Kelce's talking about, I don't make as much money as I should.
No, he
couched it nicely, but he put it out there. Did he have to put it out there? He didn't have to put it out there. And Chris Jones, where's Chris Jones?
Well, Chris Jones isn't there.
Okay, that's all I'm saying. They got too much
legit.
talent. I'm just saying the vibes are bothering me a little bit. They got too much talent.
He said that in Vanity Fair, and he was loving it.
Yeah.
He was dressed in a fur coat next to a Ford Bronco from the 70s. He loved it.
Okay.
Coach, let's look at consecutive division titles. America's team obviously has the record, but the Chiefs getting close.
All right, I'll go very quick here. Houston's going to finish last. Luckily for them, they don't have their own pick because their GM, who is 6-26-1 since coming over from New England, who said today, we can't be judged on our record. It's about the process. I don't know what they're doing there, but they really wanted Will Anderson. I like DeMeco Ryans, but he is in for a hell of a season. And by the way, if they don't win at home against Indy in week 2, they could be winless well past Halloween. Speaking of Indy.
And I like Nick a lot personally, but he certainly judged the previous 2 head coaches by that.
Yeah, he's on his 3rd head coach. That's absolutely right. He's on his 3rd head coach. He's 6-26-1. Got to judge us on our process. Well, your process was you traded away next year's first-round pick, which is going to be a top 4 pick. I don't understand it. I said I'd go quick. Sorry, I got a little worked up there. Indy. I'm excited to watch Anthony Richardson. I think Shane Steichen could be quite good. I don't know what they're doing with Jonathan Taylor. I don't know what the latest Jim Irsay tweet's going to be. I have them in 3rd place. They'd be in last place in most divisions. Number 2 is the Titans. The question is, do they pull the plug on Ryan Tannehill? Malik Willis didn't look close to ready. Now they drafted Will Levis. Right. They know they eventually need to go and rebuild. But is Vrabel too good of a coach for them to ever really fully bottom out? I think Vrabel is a great head coach, a truly great head coach, but I don't trust the team. And then, of course, the coronation, the prince who was promised year 2, Peyton, or year 3 for him, just like Peyton Manning 2.0, led the league in touchdowns, led the league in yards in year 3 as the defending AFC South champion. I see something similar happening for the prince. And while all you guys mocked me all last year and all this year, I would imagine every single person at this table is picking the Jags to win that division and go back to the playoffs. Brew, I'm excited to see your playoff picks.
At number 4, you got that wrong. It'll be the Colts. Okay. All right, I like Anthony Richardson, but he's going to be up and down. He can run the football. What was he, 6-17, and he's doing this? I mean, it's going to be a roller coaster ride for him throwing the football, but I think maybe a bright future. Jonathan Taylor, we know what's going on with that as far as missing at least the first 4 games. At number 3, I got Houston. Look, DeMeco Ryans, I like Will Anderson. You know, C.J. Stroud, I guess if he's going to be the quarterback. I do like him a lot. Obviously, as a rookie, he'll have his ups and downs. But they're coming off 3 horrible years. I think the future is brighter, and I think they can finish 3rd. At number 2, we've got the Titans. Like you said, Vrabel, great coach. Derrick Henry, he didn't look spent last year. He didn't look like he was washed, so he'll still do his thing. The only thing I don't like about Trevor Lawrence
there's nothing
is that Nick is so obnoxious about him and picked him early. I've liked Trevor Lawrence.
Stop,
bro.
But
What are you doing
Nick
today?
goes so overboard on him with the wins.
We've all
and
known
the
it. Bruce's
trumpets,
a big
the
Trevor
bugle
Lawrence guy.
boys, and all that.
Jimmy G.
It's a weak division too. It's a
Okay.
weak division, but I expect Trevor to have a
Coach,
good
can I show you something? A stat? Because we're filled with a lot of propaganda on this show.
A ton.
Here's how Trevor Lawrence's year went last year. You would think it was just perfect the whole year. We start today with the AFC North. Nick, take it away.
All right, worst to first. Number 4 in the AFC. It's a team with the worst coach and the worst quarterback. It's very simple. It is the Cleveland Browns. I do not think, the worst quarterback in the division. Deshaun Watson from Houston 3 years ago is not walking back through that door. And the Browns, I do not believe in. And the Browns are going to have some real soul searching to do when this year they still don't get the reward of having a bad team, because that pick is still going to the Houston Texans. Number 3. Missing the playoffs, the Baltimore Ravens.
Wow.
I'm happy Lamar got his money. I don't know that the offensive stylistic change is going to be what works best for the Ravens. Also, for the first time in seemingly a decade, the Ravens' defense is a major question mark. I have the Ravens as one of those, my gosh, the AFC's tough. The Ravens missed the playoffs. Coming in second, the Cincinnati Bengals. I do think they are obviously a playoff team. However, I do not think they have a gaudy regular season. I do think some of their losses in free agency on defense hurt them. And I don't think this really will matter unless it does. I guess I'm the only person still curious. Where's Joe Burrow contract extension? Been waiting for a Joe Burrow contract extension. Hasn't happened. They did release Trevor Siemian today, which makes you think Joe Burrow should be available in week 1, which is good news for them. And then winning the division, the Pittsburgh Steelers. The argument for the Steelers is very simple. Last year, they had a rookie quarterback, and they had their best player miss 7 games, and they won 9 of them. This year, if you assume TJ Watt's not going to miss 7 games, Kenny Pickett, even if he's not going to be as perfect as he was in the preseason, I do think he'll be better than he was in year 2. Most quarterbacks get a year 2 bump, except for, of course, McCorkle Jones. But most guys get better. You got to like George Pickens. You have to love Mike Tomlin. I think the Steelers win the division and get back to the postseason. There's my AFC North.
Ooh, wow. Okay. Let's start worst to first. We agree. I hate to say
that's your team,
because I am from Cleveland, and I do expect improvement. I'm higher on Deshaun Watson than you are. I think he'll play well. The offensive line obviously is great. They got skill position players. Like I like Stefanski more than you do, Nick. But it is a great conference, and I think this is the best division in football. And there's going to be, I said yesterday, I don't think Miami makes the playoffs. So there are going to be a couple of good teams that miss the playoffs, more than a couple. And I think the Browns will be one of them. At number 3, though, the Steelers. And in the playoffs. Yes, I am going with a 3-play. I didn't think I would, but I like the Steelers. All right, I really do. You mentioned it. Last year, they were without,
TJ Watt. 7 games.
And look, this is how good Mike Tomlin's great. There's no doubt about it. For him to win 9 games last year with TJ Watt out, and their quarterback play was, we talked about the Jets, how bad it was. Theirs was bad too, and I don't mean that Pickett's not going to be good, but last year they had 12 total touchdown passes on the team.
Yeah.
And one of them was thrown by a receiver, Chase Claypool. And they had 14 interceptions and still won 9 games. I think Pickett's going to be greater. I think George Pickens is fantastic. So I think he's going to have a huge year. Fire moves, I like him too. Run game is good. So I think the Steelers make the playoffs. Number 2, the Bengals. Look, I strongly considered not putting them in the playoffs.
Wow.
But Burrow looks like he'll be back sooner than later. And I think he's just too good along with Jamar Chase. Offensive line, I think, will be a little better. They added your boy, Nick Orlando Brown Jr. I think they start 0-2, though. They haven't won in Cleveland since 2017. And then they have Baltimore, but then they can run off at least 4 straight wins. So they'll be back in the saddle. And at number 1, the Baltimore Ravens. I love the Ravens this year. I think Lamar Jackson's going to be, he's excited. He's got his contract. He's excited about the new offense. It's supposed to be like what he did in Louisville more. So obviously we know he was great in college at Louisville. The receiving core is the best he's had. It's not one of the best in the league or one of the top five, but it's the best he's had. And the defense, look, I know it looks like they might be down a bit, but they've been in the top 10 in defense 6 of the last 7 years. Yep. So I think they'll figure it out. I got Baltimore.
All right, we're going to get to the Ravens in a second. Here are all the predictions. Coach, I want to dial in on the Steelers. Both of you guys mentioned T.J. Watt. Here's the numbers, specifically 8-2 with, 1-6 without. Point differentials up. Turnover differential, yards. Obviously different. The yards, man, I'd get a bigger contract. I would take this full screen and go right and sit back down. So, Coach, do you buy the Steelers are a playoff team?
Not necessarily. Look, I was impressed with the way that they finished last year, and I think that Kenny Pickett got a lot of his interceptions out in the early part of his starts and did much better towards the latter part of the season, but he wasn't very productive offensively. It wasn't prolific by any stretch. Nope. I mean, I feel good about where I am in relationship to Nick because I think his predictions are completely wrong. So that makes me feel better. and the Browns are going to cause a lot of problems in that division, and that's where Pittsburgh could benefit because the Browns could upset some of these other teams. And it's going to be hard for whoever ends up winning it. The struggle that I have with the Steelers, as well coached as they are, I don't know if they have enough offensively to match these other teams. And Nick kills, Deshaun Watson, but says Baker Mayfield can get back to form. He kills the Bengals because they haven't given their quarterback a contract extension. I get how I kind of get how he's getting to Pittsburgh winning the division, but it's sort of like the vibe check. It's all over the place.
Can I defend myself for a moment? It's very simple to get to the Steelers winning the division. They won 9 games. Their best player missed half of them, and they started a rookie quarterback. Any first-round quarterback that's worth anything, and I don't think Pickett's going to be great, but if he's worth anything, will get considerably better in year 2, and Tomlin is awesome. I think Cincinnati's going to be good. I just think that the Steelers will be better.
And that contract is obviously holding them back. I mean, they're obviously not.
Well, I'm just curious. I just don't know. Here are my AFC and NFC playoff teams. The top 4 listed in each group are the division winners, and then the 3 wild cards. So there they are. Super Bowl, Kansas City over Dallas, MVP, Patrick Mahomes, and of course, never doubt the Chiefs going 20-0. I think the Chiefs and Jags will be your AFC Championship game. I think the Cowboys and Seahawks will be your NFC Championship game. And now to Chris Broussard's.
You went out on a limb in a lot of things. Yeah. I give you credit for that. But so did I.
You did?
Here we go. Yeah. Baltimore? Who's got Baltimore in the Super Bowl?
Your division winners, 7 of the 8 are the Vegas favorites. The only non-favorite you have winning the division is Baltimore.
New Orleans.
That is chalk. Is the Vegas favorite.
Vegas,
they are the favorite.
The common folk walking around don't believe in the Saints like
Who do they believe in?
A lot of people are saying Detroit. Really?
They're
How
the
many
favorites.
times have they failed?
Oh, Vikings.
So the Jets, outside of New York, not a lot of believers in the Jets outside of New York. So, and I even got your Falcons in there and kept Seattle, who you love, out. But I'm going with Baltimore or the Bengals. One of them is going to upset Kansas City in the divisional round. And then you'll have Baltimore getting to the Super Bowl. Lamar answers all of his postseason critics. But the Eagles do beat them, I believe.
Are we going to finally get yours, Wild?
Yes. Audience, if you have a fire extinguisher nearby, maybe bring it over to your screen because
I haven't seen it.
Hot takes. For the AFC, I basically put the 4 best quarterbacks. I gave them a free pass into the playoffs. Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, and Mac Jones. I also have the Titans, who everyone just dismissed.
You have the Jags missing?
I have the Titans. Winning.
The Titans and the Patriots in.
Yes.
No Jags, no Jets.
I still have Justin Herbert, and I still have Lamar, even though after listening to Coach, I'm a little bit nervous about that new offense. It's just brand new. I don't love brand new stuff. In the NFC, I still have the Vikings, the Saints, the Seahawks, Cowboys, and who's that? Is that a Wolf Howell? No, that's Sam Howell, friend. Sam Howell sneaks into the playoff. And then Jordan Love, Matt LaFleur gets to throw the ball long since he wasn't able to because, Aaron Rodgers only completed 4 out of 40 passes over 25 yards. And then it's the Vikings lose to Patrick Mahomes.
Super Bowl 4.
I knew
Chiefs
that.
over Vikings. No, you didn't.
Yes, I
Lynn
did.
Dawson.
Of course, I remember
Never
that.
right.
Was that good?
Yeah, it was great. I was there. No.
Okay. Never a doubt. Congratulations. That's a real tattoo. That concludes Prediction Week. We'll see you here on Monday